Commander Daewon stood in the war room deep beneath Earth's surface. Holographic displays showed the entire galaxy around him. Red markers indicated enemy positions. Blue markers showed human forces. The map was changing rapidly. The Drathian Collective has activated their defensive pact, reported his intelligence officer. 4 species have pledged military support. The Krivik Empire, the Thorian clans, the Vex Alliance, and the Skrill Confederacy. Total force estimate? Daewon asked calmly. Combined, they have approximately 300 warships. They are gathering at 3 staging points. Based on their movements, we estimate they will attack these systems simultaneously. 3 human colonies lit up on the map. All of them were in the inner territories closer to Earth than the outer rim. They think they can overwhelm us with numbers, Daewon observed. They think if the Drathians lost because they were careless, a larger force will succeed. What are your orders, sir? Daewon studied the map. The enemy was making a mistake. They were committing everything to a direct assault. That meant their home systems would be vulnerable. We will defend our colonies. But defense is not enough. Activate Operation Reversal. We take the fight to them. Across human space, fleets began moving. What the enemy saw was humans scrambling to defend their territories. What they did not see was the larger portion of humanity's fleet moving in a different direction entirely. The first attack came 3 days later. 120 alien warships jumped into the new Incheon system. The colony there had only minimal defenses, or so the aliens thought. As soon as the enemy fleet arrived, the planet's surface lit up. Hundreds of missile silos that had been built in secret opened fire. The missiles were not traditional weapons. They were smart weapons, programmed with 3 months of tactical data that Hyun had gathered. The alien fleet found itself under attack from the ground before they could even reach orbit. Ships took damage. Formations broke apart. They tried to return fire, but the missile silos were scattered across the entire planet. Hitting all of them was impossible. Then human ships arrived. Not dozens, hundreds. The aliens had estimated Earth's fleet size based on what they had seen at the Outer Rim colonies. They had no idea humans had been building warships for decades in hidden shipyards throughout the solar system. The Battle of New Incheon lasted 8 hours. The alien fleet lost 40 ships. The survivors retreated. The colony was safe. The same thing happened at the other 2 targeted systems. Aliens arrived expecting easy victories. Instead, they found prepared defenses and overwhelming force. Within 2 days, all 3 invasions had failed. But while the enemy focused on those battles, Commander Siak was leading a very different mission. Siak was a naval officer with 20 years of experience. He commanded a fleet of 80 ships. While the defensive battles raged, his fleet bypassed all enemy forces and jumped directly to the Kravik home system. The Kravik had sent most of their military to attack human colonies. They left their home world protected by only a light garrison. It was not enough. Siak's fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel right on the edge of the Kravik system. Before the defenders could react, human ships were already moving toward their targets. "This is Commander Siak of the Human Defense Fleet," he broadcast on all frequencies. "We are not here to harm civilians. We are here to destroy military installations. Evacuate all military bases immediately. You have 30 minutes. The Kravik government responded with outrage and threats. Siak ignored them. His ships moved into position. Exactly 30 minutes later, missiles began hitting military targets. Command centers exploded. Weapons factories burned. Shipyards collapsed. Siak's fleet was surgical and precise. They hit only military installations. Not one civilian structure was damaged. After 6 hours, every major military facility in the Kravik system was destroyed. Siak broadcast one more message. "Your military attacked our colonies without provocation. We have responded by eliminating your ability to make war. If you seek peace, contact Earth immediately. If you seek further conflict, we will return and finish this." Then his fleet jumped away, leaving the Kravik people stunned and their government in chaos. The same scenario played out across multiple systems. Human fleets appeared at the homeworlds of every species that had joined the attack. They struck military targets with perfect precision. They gave warnings to evacuate. They avoided civilian casualties. And they left each enemy unable to continue fighting. Nari watched everything unfold from her intelligence station. Her network of operatives had provided the locations of every military target. Her data had made the attacks possible. "The Thorian clans are requesting a ceasefire," she reported. "Their government is in emergency session. They want to withdraw from the conflict. What about the others? Daewon asked. The Vex Alliance and Skrill Confederacy are also considering withdrawal. Their military leaders are arguing with their political leaders. The speed of our counterattack shocked them. They did not expect us to strike their homeworlds. And the Drathions, still defiant. Commander Raxoth has been released from prison and is calling for total war. But he has no ships and no allies. The other species are abandoning the defensive pact. Daewon nodded. Contact our fleets. Offer terms to any species that requests ceasefire. But make it clear, there will be costs for their aggression. In the medical bay of one human warship, Yuna worked steadily to save lives. She was a doctor, and she treated every patient the same whether they were human or alien. A Thorian warrior lay on one of her tables. He had been injured when his ship was disabled during the defense of New Incheon. Human Marines had pulled him from his destroyed fighter and brought him aboard for medical treatment. The Thorian woke slowly. He looked around in confusion, then fear. Where am I? On a human medical ship, Yunha said calmly. You were injured. We brought you here for treatment. You saved me. Why, we attacked you. Yuna continued working. Because I am a doctor. I treat everyone who needs help. Your political leaders made the decision to attack us. You were following orders. I will not punish a soldier for his government's mistakes. The Thorian warrior said nothing, but his expression showed complete confusion. In his culture, defeated enemies were rarely shown such mercy. In another part of the medical bay, other alien wounded received similar treatment. Human doctors worked to save lives, even as human warships destroyed military targets. This contradiction confused the enemy more than anything else. How could humans be so ruthless in war, yet so gentle with prisoners and wounded? How could they destroy entire military bases but carefully avoid civilian casualties? How could they be both fierce and merciful? The answer was something aliens struggled to understand. Humans separated the war from the warriors. They could be absolutely brutal to military targets, while still treating individual soldiers with dignity. This was new to the galaxy. Most species either fought with honor or fought without mercy. Humans did both at the same time. 2 weeks after the conflicts began, 3 of the 4 allied species had requested ceasefires. The Thorian clans, Vex Alliance, and Skrill Confederacy all agreed to peace talks. Only the Drathion Collective continued to refuse. In the Drathion capital city, the government was in chaos. Commander Raxoth stood before the ruling council, demanding they continue fighting. We cannot surrender to these prey creatures, he shouted. Our honor demands we fight. An older counselor shook his head. Honor? They destroyed our fleet at the Outer Rim colonies. They disabled 20 warships without destroying them. They captured our soldiers and then released them unharmed. They offered us terms for peace and we refused. Now they have destroyed our military installations in 5 systems. What more must we lose before you accept reality? We are Drathion. We are warriors. We do not bow to the weak. They are not weak, another counselor yelled. Open your eyes. They defeated us. They defeated our allies. They struck our homeworlds while we could not stop them. This is not about honor anymore. This is about survival. But Raxoth refused to listen. He gathered loyal soldiers and seized control of 3 remaining Drathion military bases. He declared himself the new military leader and vowed to fight until every human was dead. This put Daewon in a difficult position. Most Drathion people wanted peace, but Raxoth and his followers were still dangerous. We need to remove Raxoth without killing more Drathion civilians, Daewon told his staff. This is not about the Drathion people. This is about one commander who cannot accept defeat. Nari spoke up. I have operatives in the Drathion capital. We have been in contact with the civilian government. They want Raxoth stopped as much as we do. Can they do it themselves? Not without triggering a civil war. Raxoth has too many supporters in the military, but if we can capture him, the civilian government will take control and negotiate peace. Then we capture him, put together a plan. 3 days later, a single human ship entered Drathion space. It was not a warship. It was Minho's flagship, now painted with diplomatic markings. It broadcast a message requesting negotiations with Commander Raxoth. Raxoth, seeing an opportunity to capture a high-ranking human, agreed to meet. He chose one of his military bases for the meeting, surrounded by loyal soldiers. Minho arrived with only 10 people. The warning siren started at dawn on New Sol Colony. Governor Taman was drinking his morning coffee when his assistant burst into the office. "Sir, we have multiple ships entering the system. They are not responding to our hails." Taman put down his cup carefully. "How many ships?" 15. "No, wait, 20. They are big, sir. Military class." The governor moved quickly to the command center. On the screens he saw them. Massive warships, dark metal covered in weapon ports. They bore the markings of the Drathion Collective. "Get me Earth Command," Taman ordered. "Now." But before the communication could connect, a message came through from the Drathion fleet. A huge alien face filled the screen. The Drathion commander looked like he was carved from stone. His eyes were small and black. His mouth was full of teeth. "Human settlement, this is Commander Raxoth of the Drathion Collective. Your world is now under our control. Do not resist. Do not flee. Remain in your homes and await instructions." The communication ended. A moment later, Drathion shuttles began descending toward the colony. Taman watched in horror as hundreds of alien warriors poured out onto the streets. The same thing was happening on 2 other human colonies, New Busan and New Daegu, both in the Outer Rim, both lightly defended. Within 3 hours, all 3 colonies were occupied. The Drathion forces moved efficiently, rounding up colonists and taking control of key buildings. But something strange happened. The Drathion warriors did not act like brutal conquerors. They were almost casual. They herded colonists together like farmers gathering livestock. When humans asked questions, the aliens barely responded. It was as if they could not be bothered to explain themselves to such weak creatures. On New Sol, Yuna watched from her apartment window as Drathion soldiers walked past. She was an engineer who worked on the colony's power systems. She knew every tunnel, every maintenance shaft, every hidden corridor in the infrastructure. "They are not even guarding the perimeter properly," she whispered to her neighbor. "They left the east sector completely open. What does it matter?" Her neighbor replied, "We cannot fight them. Look at them. They are huge." Yuna said nothing, but her mind was already working. If the Drathions were this careless, maybe there was something humans could do after all. On Earth, the news hit like an explosion. Every screen showed images of human colonists under alien occupation. The Galactic Council received an emergency call from Hana. 3 of our colonies have been seized without provocation. Without warning, without justification, she said, her voice tight with controlled anger. "This is an act of war." The council representative, an old alien with tentacles instead of arms, waved dismissively. "Representative Hana, please calm yourself. The Drathion Collective has filed a proper challenge under galactic law. They claim territorial rights to those systems based on ancient migration patterns. This is a legal dispute." "Legal dispute?" Hana could not believe what she was hearing. "They invaded our worlds with warships." "They have issued a formal challenge," the council representative continued. "Under galactic law, your species can either surrender the territories or engage in ritual combat. The Drathians have proposed single combat, your champions against theirs. If you win, you keep the colonies. If you lose, they keep them. Single combat? 3 champions against 3 of theirs?" "Correct. This is the traditional way disputes are settled in the galaxy. It prevents large-scale war. You have 1 week to respond." The communication ended. Hana stood in the silent room, rage building inside her. The galaxy's law was designed by strong species to control weak ones. It was not justice. It was organized bullying. She opened a secure channel to Earth's military command. "This is Hana. Put me through to Commander Daewon." Far below the surface of Earth, in facilities that did not appear on any public map, Commander Daewon received the call. He was a man of 50 years who had spent his entire adult life in military service. His face showed no emotion as he listened to Hana's report. "They expect us to surrender," Hana said, "or send 3 people to die in pointless combat. What is your recommendation?" Daewon asked. "I recommend we show them who they are dealing with." Daewon nodded slowly. "Agreed, but we need time."
"Can you buy us 3 months?"
3 months? For what? Preparation, intelligence gathering, and most importantly, making them comfortable, making them think they have already won. Hana understood immediately. "You want them to lower their guard?" "Exactly. Tell the council we accept their challenge, but we need time to select our champions according to our cultural traditions. Make it sound desperate and confused. Make it sound like we have no idea what we are doing. They will mock us even more. Let them. Every moment they spend laughing is a moment we spend preparing. Hana returned to the council chamber. She delivered Earth's response with carefully crafted uncertainty. The human people, we accept the challenge, but we need 3 months to prepare. Our traditions require lengthy ceremonies. We must select champions through proper rituals. The council representative seemed amused. 3 months for ceremonies? This is highly unusual. Our culture is young, Hana said, making her voice sound pleading. We need time to understand galactic law, please. We only ask for time to do this properly. The Drathion commander, listening remotely, laughed. Let them have their time. Let them perform their little ceremonies. The result will be the same. 3 months or 3 days, it does not matter. They will lose, the council agreed. Earth had 3 months. On the occupied colonies, life settled into an uncomfortable routine. The Drathion forces treated humans like annoying children. They gave orders and expected immediate obedience. When colonists moved too slowly, the aliens simply pushed them aside. Governor Taman was held in his own office, now serving as a prison. Every day, a Drathion officer came to ask him questions about the colony's resources and systems. Every day, Taman answered honestly. There seemed no point in lying. The Drathions had already won, but Taman noticed something. The Drathions were bored. They stood guard duty like it was punishment detail. They complained to each other about being sent to watch over the soft ones. They grew lazy. In the tunnels beneath the colony, Yuna was not lazy. She moved through the maintenance shafts, making contact with other colonists who knew the infrastructure. Engineers, technicians, workers who understood how everything functioned. We cannot fight them, she told a gathering of 20 people in a hidden chamber. But we can prepare. We can make sure that when help comes, we are ready to help ourselves. What if help never comes? Someone asked. Yuna smiled. Then we become very good at disrupting their systems. But I think help will come. Earth has not forgotten us, and humans do not leave their people behind. Across the galaxy, the news channel showed Earth's response to the occupation. Humans appeared confused and frightened. Their broadcasts showed protests, demonstrations, political arguments. Every alien species watching thought the same thing. Humans were falling apart under pressure. None of them saw what was really happening. In orbit above Earth, Nari floated in zero gravity aboard a stealth satellite. She was part of Earth's intelligence division, and her job was to watch and listen. Her screens showed Drathion military communications. She had been breaking their codes for weeks. They are pulling ships from their home fleet, she reported to Daewon. They think the occupation of our colonies is already finished. They are redeploying resources to other areas. Good, Daewon replied. What about their defensive positions on the colonies? Minimal. They have guards but no real fortifications. They are treating this like occupation duty, not active conflict. Perfect. Continue monitoring. I want to know every ship position, every guard rotation, every supply delivery. Yes, sir. Sir, may I ask a question? Go ahead. Are we really going to fight them? Daewon was quiet for a moment. Then he said, Nari, humanity did not reach the stars by being weak. We reached the stars by being too stubborn to quit and too smart to fight fair. The Drathions think they understand war. They think war is about being big and strong. They are about to learn that war is about being prepared and ruthless. Across Earth, military forces moved in secret. Ships that were registered as cargo vessels received quiet modifications. Civilian pilots suddenly reported for training exercises that took them to hidden bases. Factories that made mining equipment started producing very different kinds of hardware. And every day, human diplomats visited alien worlds asking questions, appearing nervous, seeming to search desperately for help. No one realized they were actually mapping every system, every defense, every potential target. The 3 months passed. The Drathions grew more comfortable in their occupation. The galaxy waited to see what weak little humans would do when faced with real warriors. They were about to find out. What they did not see was 100 converted cargo vessels moving into attack position. Captain Minho say. The transformation happened in seconds. One moment, the Drathion fleet watched harmless cargo ships drift closer. The next moment, those same ships shed their disguises like predators revealing teeth. False hull panels fell away. Weapon batteries emerged from shipping containers. Military-grade shields powered up. The cargo vessels were gone. In their place hung warships. Minho gave one command. Fire. Missiles launched from 100 different ships simultaneously. They streaked through space with perfect coordination, each one locked onto a specific Drathion vessel. The enemy fleet barely had time to react before the first impacts hit. On the bridge of the lead Drathion warship, alarm screamed. The captain stared at his screens in disbelief. Where did those weapons come from? Those were cargo ships. His tactical officer tried to respond, but the communication systems were dead. Hyun had done his work perfectly. Every Drathion military network went dark at exactly the same moment. Their ships could not coordinate. Their weapons could not target properly. They were blind. A second wave of missiles hit. Drathion shields held, but barely. The enemy ships tried to return fire, but their targeting systems kept failing. Their shots went wide, missing the human vessels completely. Evasive maneuvers, the Drathion captain ordered. But without coordination, each ship moved independently. The formation broke apart. Human ships moved like dancers, each one knowing exactly where the others would be. They had practiced this for 3 months. Every pilot knew their role. Every weapons officer had memorized firing patterns. The Drathions had size and strength. Humans had precision and planning. On New Sol's surface, the power grid shut down exactly as Yuna pressed her button. The entire colony went dark. Drathion soldiers found themselves standing in pitch blackness. Their equipment, tied into the colony's power systems, stopped working. What is happening? Commander Raxoth shouted into his communicator. But there was no response. The communication network was dead. In the maintenance tunnels, Yuna's people moved quickly. They had night vision equipment that Yuna had quietly assembled over 3 months. While Drathion stumbled in the dark, humans moved with purpose. A team reached the armory where Drathion weapons were stored. They sealed the doors from the outside, trapping the guards inside. Another team reached the shuttle bay and disabled every Drathion transport vessel. A third team began broadcasting a signal that jammed all Drathion personal communicators. On the arena where ritual combat was supposed to happen, Raxoth and his warriors stood in confusion. The lights were gone. The cameras were dead. And now they heard something new, a sound that made even these battle-hardened warriors nervous. Human footsteps. Hundreds of them, surrounding the arena. The lights came back on, but not the colony's lights. These were harsh, bright spotlights that the colonists had prepared. They pointed directly at Raxoth and his warriors, blinding them. A voice echoed across the arena. It was Governor Taman, speaking through a portable speaker system. Commander Raxoth, you wanted champions. You wanted ritual combat, but humans do not follow your rules. Surrender now and your soldiers will be treated fairly. Never, Raxoth roared. We are Drathion warriors. We do not surrender to prey. Then you are prisoners, Taman replied calmly. Look around you, Raxoth's eyes adjusted to the light. He saw hundreds of colonists surrounding the arena. They held improvised weapons, tools, anything they could find. But more importantly, they held Drathion soldiers as prisoners. His own guards were being marched into the arena, their hands bound. How? Raxoth could not understand. You are weak. You are harmless. No, Taman said. We are patient. We are smart. And we are done being underestimated. In orbit, the battle was nearly finished. Of the 20 Drathion warships, 15 were disabled and drifting. 3 had retreated to the edge of the system. 2 were still fighting, but barely. Minho watched his tactical display with satisfaction. All ships cease fire on disabled vessels. Focus on the 2 still active. The human fleet concentrated their fire. Within minutes, both Drathion ships were crippled. Their engines died. Their weapons went silent. Sir, the 3 ships at the edge of the system are requesting permission to retreat, his communications officer reported. Denied, Minho said coldly. Tell them to power down their weapons and engines. If they try to run, we will destroy them. If they try to fight, we will destroy them. Their only option is surrender. There was a long pause. Then the 3 ships went dark, floating dead in space. The entire battle had lasted 6 hours. 6 hours to liberate 3 colonies and capture an entire enemy fleet. On New Busan and New Daegu, the same thing happened. Human ships appeared. Drathion forces found their systems failing. Colonists rose up from within. By the time the sun set on all 3 colonies, they were back in human hands. Officer Kwan arrived on New Seoul 12 hours after liberation. He came with 3,000 Marines expecting to fight a prolonged battle. Instead, he found the colony already secured. Governor Taman met him at the landing pad. Officer Quan, welcome. Your Marines can help with processing prisoners. We have approximately 1,500 Drathion soldiers in custody. Quan looked around at the orderly scene. Colonists were working to repair systems. Drathion prisoners sat in organized groups looking stunned. You did this yourselves? We had help, Taman said, gesturing to Yuna, who stood nearby. Our engineers prepared everything. When Captain Minho's fleet arrived, we were ready. Quan shook his head in amazement. The galaxy thought humans were weak. The galaxy thought wrong, Taman replied. High above, Rena brought her fighter squadron into the landing bay of Minho's flagship. She was a combat pilot who had executed over 40 attack runs in the past 6 hours. Her hands were steady as she powered down her fighter. Squadron leader to command. All fighters accounted for. 0 casualties. 23 enemy fighters destroyed. Minho's voice came through her helmet. Outstanding work, Rena. How did they handle themselves in combat? They are strong and tough, sir. But they fly like they expect to win through intimidation. They made the same mistakes over and over. No creativity. No adaptation. After the first few minutes, it was easy to predict their moves. What about their skill level? Individually, they are good, but they do not work together well. Each pilot fights for personal glory. We work as a team. That made all the difference. Across the 3 liberated colonies, Marines helped secure Drathion prisoners and equipment. Quan personally oversaw the processing. He noticed something interesting. The Drathion soldiers were not angry or defiant. They were confused. One Drathion warrior, his armor scorched from battle, looked up at Quan. You are small. You are weak. How did you defeat us? Quan smiled.
We are not weak.
We are different. You measure strength by size and muscle. We measure strength by planning and adaptation. You thought this would be easy because you judged us by your own standards. That was your mistake. But the Council rated you Category 7, harmless. The Council was wrong, and so were you. Remember this, humans do not need to be the biggest or the strongest. We just need to be smarter, and we always are. News of the battle spread across the galaxy in hours. Every species saw the footage. Human cargo ships transforming into warships, Drathion fleets disabled and captured. 3 colonies liberated in a single day. The reaction was shock, then disbelief, then concern. In the Galactic Council chambers, emergency sessions were called. Representatives from dozens of species demanded answers. How had Category 7 species defeated a warrior race? How had humans hidden their true capabilities? What else were humans hiding? Hana stood before the council, her posture straight and her voice clear. Gone was the nervous diplomat who had pleaded for time. In her place stood a representative of a species that had just proven its strength. The council asked why we succeeded, she said. I will tell you. You rated us Category 7 because you looked only at our bodies. You saw no claws, no fangs, no armor. But you did not see what makes humans truly dangerous. Our minds, our ability to plan, our willingness to be patient, and most importantly, our absolute refusal to abandon our own people. You deceived us, accused the Vexarian representative. You hid your military strength. We hid nothing, Hana replied. We simply did not show you everything. You assumed we were weak because we looked weak. You never asked what weapons we carried. You never tested our tactics. You never considered that a species could be intelligent without being physically impressive. That failure of imagination is not our responsibility. What do you want? Asked the council leader. You have won. Your colonies are free. The Drathion forces are captured. What more do you seek? Hana's expression hardened. Justice. The Drathion collective invaded our territory without cause. They occupied our worlds. They held our people prisoner. This cannot be ignored. We demand reparations. Reparations. The Drathions will never agree to pay you. Then they will lose more than money, Hana said quietly, because human ships are already moving toward Drathion space. And this time we are not coming as merchants or diplomats. We are coming as conquerors. The council chamber fell silent. Every representative understood what this meant. Humanity was not just defending itself anymore. Humanity was taking the off. Sumi looked like any other human diplomat. She wore proper formal clothing and carried a briefcase full of documents. When she arrived at the Corthan trading hub, the alien customs officers barely glanced at her. Purpose of visit? The officer asked, sounding bored. Trade negotiations? Sumi replied with a nervous smile. "We are looking for potential allies. Earth wishes to establish better relationships with the galactic community." The officer stamped her papers. "Good luck with that. Gate 7. Sumi walked through the station, playing her part perfectly. She met with local merchants, asked stumbling questions about trade law, and appeared generally confused by everything. Other aliens watched and shook their heads. Typical humans, they thought. Lost and helpless. What they did not see was the small device Sumi placed in the station's communication hub. What they did not notice was how carefully she mapped every security camera and guard station. What they did not hear was the encrypted data burst she sent back to Earth every night. Sumi was not a diplomat. She was Earth's best intelligence operative, and she was not alone. Across 40 different systems, human diplomats were doing the same thing. They visited trading stations, military outposts, and civilian centers. They asked innocent questions about galactic law, trade routes, and cultural customs. They seemed desperate to understand how to save their colonies. But every question was carefully chosen. Every conversation was recorded. Every location was mapped. Humans were building the most complete intelligence network the galaxy had ever seen, and no one suspected a thing. On Earth, Hyun sat in a dark room filled with screens. He had not slept properly in 2 months. His job was to break into alien computer systems, and he was very good at his job. "I am inside the Drathion military network," he reported to Daewon. "Their encryption is strong, but it has patterns. They use the same base code across all their systems because they never expect anyone to challenge them." "Can you access their fleet coordination?" Daewon asked. "Already have it. I can see every ship position in real time. I can read their maintenance schedules, their supply deliveries, even their personnel rotations." "Sir, they have no idea we are watching them. What about control? Can you disrupt their systems?" Hyun smiled. "Disrupt? Sir, I can shut them down completely. I have access to their communication satellites, their targeting computers, their power grids. When you give the order, I can make their entire fleet go blind and deaf. Hold that capability in reserve." "What about their homeworlds?" "Mapping them now. They have 5 major military bases and 12 civilian centers. All connections are being traced." Daewon nodded. "Good work. Keep it quiet. If they detect any intrusion, we lose our advantage." In another facility, Jinho was studying everything humans had learned about Drathion psychology. He was a xenopsychology expert, someone who understood how alien minds worked. His team had interviewed every human who had encountered Drathions. They had analyzed thousands of hours of recordings. "They are incredibly predictable," Jinho explained to the military staff. "Drathions value honor and strength above everything else. They believe combat determines worth. When they see weakness, they become dismissive and careless. They literally cannot imagine that a weaker species might outsmart them. So they will underestimate us," one officer said. "They already are. Every interaction we have had confirms it. They think we are prey animals pretending to be spacefaring civilization. They will not expect sophisticated tactics. They will not expect coordination. They will definitely not expect us to take the fight to them. What happens when we do surprise them?" Jinho considered this carefully. "Initially shock and confusion. They have no framework for understanding how weak creatures could harm them. Then anger. Then panic. Their entire worldview will be challenged. That is when they will make mistakes." While intelligence gathered information, military preparations accelerated. In shipyards hidden throughout the solar system, something remarkable was happening. Minji walked through a massive hangar bay where a cargo ship was being transformed. She was a naval engineer, and this was her design. The ship looked identical to any other human cargo vessel from the outside. But inside, everything had changed. Armor plating installed in the cargo sections, her assistant reported. Weapon ports concealed behind false hull panels. Missile batteries loaded in shipping containers. The targeting systems are hidden inside what looks like navigation equipment. Minji inspected every detail. "What about the power signature? Will they detect the weapons?" "No, ma'am. The reactors are shielded. From the outside, this reads as a normal cargo ship. Even close scanning would not reveal the truth unless they physically boarded and searched." "How many ships have we converted?" 43 completed. Another 60 in progress. At current pace, we will have 150 combat-ready vessels disguised as civilian ships before the deadline. Minji allowed herself a small smile. The galaxy thought humans were harmless. They would learn that human deception was its own kind of weapon. On occupied New Sol, Yuna's underground network had grown. Over 100 colonists were now part of the resistance. They met in the maintenance tunnels, passing information and preparing for the day when Earth would come. "I have mapped all Drathion patrol routes," reported a technician. "They follow the same schedule every day. They never vary." "I have access to the power grid," said another. "When the time comes, I can shut down entire sectors." Yuna looked at her map of the colony. Every Drathion position was marked. Every weakness was noted. "We cannot fight them directly, but we can make sure they cannot fight effectively. When Earth arrives, we need to create chaos, cut their communications, lock their doors, shut down their weapons, make them blind and confused." "You really think Earth is coming?" someone asked quietly. "I know Earth is coming," Yuna said firmly, "because we are human, and humans do not abandon their own." Governor Taman, still held prisoner in his office, had been carefully observing his captors. The Drathion soldiers were bored and lazy. They played games on their devices. They complained constantly about the assignment. They made fun of humans openly. One guard told another, "I heard Earth is sending champions for ritual combat." "Can you imagine? These tiny soft things fighting our warriors? It will be over in seconds. Why do we even bother with challenges?" The other replied, "We should just take what we want. Honor demands it." "But yes, it is a waste of time. These humans will surrender or die. Either way, these colonies are ours now." Taman said nothing, but he filed away every piece of information. When liberation came, he would make sure Earth knew everything about their enemy. Back on Earth, the final preparations were underway. Ships were loaded with supplies and weapons. Soldiers trained in zero-gravity combat. Pilots rehearsed attack patterns. Everything was timed down to the second. Captain Minho received his orders directly from day one. "You will command the first wave. Your cargo fleet will approach the colonies as if delivering supplies. The Drathions will not suspect anything because you have been making regular supply runs." "When do we drop the disguise?" Minho asked. "Not until you are in weapons range. Every second they do not realize you are a threat is a second they are not preparing to defend themselves." "Understood." "What about their fleet in orbit?" "Hyun will handle their systems. Nari will provide real-time intelligence. You focus on your attack run. Speed and surprise are everything." Minho felt his hand steady despite the enormous pressure. This was what he had trained for. This was what humanity needed. The 3 months were ending. The galaxy waited to see what humans would do. News broadcasts showed Earth in apparent chaos. Different political groups argued about the best response. Some called for surrender. Others demanded hopeless defiance. The whole planet seemed divided and confused. The Drathion commander watched these broadcasts with satisfaction. "They are falling apart before we even fight." "This will be easier than I thought," his officers agreed. Several suggested they could probably take more human colonies with minimal effort. The commander considered this and smiled. After they won this challenge, maybe they would expand their ambitions. On the scheduled day, the Drathion forces on the occupied colonies prepared for the ritual combat. They cleared a large arena on New Sol where the fights would take place. Cameras were set up to broadcast the event across the galaxy. Everyone wanted to see what weak little humans would send as champions. Commander Raxoth stood in the arena, his 3 chosen warriors beside him. They were the best fighters in the Drathion military, each one a veteran of countless battles. They wore ceremonial armor that gleamed in the sunlight. "Where are the human champions?" Raxoth demanded. A human official stepped forward nervously. "They are coming. Our ships are approaching now." "Ships? They need ships to bring 3 champions. It is our custom." "Please be patient," Raxoth laughed. "Take all the time you need. The result will not change." In orbit above the colony, sensors detected multiple ships entering the system. The Drathion fleet noted them but saw nothing threatening. Just human cargo vessels, exactly what they expected. What the Drathions did not see was Hyun, thousands of light years away, his fingers moving across keyboards. What they did not see was Sumi and her network, feeding real-time data to every human ship. The massive trading station floated in the darkness of space like a small city made of metal and lights. Ships from 100 different worlds came and went, carrying goods and people across the galaxy. Inside the station's main hall, thousands of aliens gathered around the holographic displays. They were waiting for the Galactic Council's newest announcement. Captain Minho stood near the back of the crowd. He was a human cargo ship captain who had been transporting supplies to the outer colonies. His ship was docked at the station for repairs, and he had come inside to buy supplies. Now he found himself watching something he never expected to see. The holographic display flickered to life. A tall alien with purple skin and forearms appeared. This was the Vexarian Empire's chief xenobiologist, the scientist responsible for studying new species. His voice echoed through the hall. Today, the Galactic Council completes the evaluation of species number 7412. The species calls themselves humans. Their home planet is called Earth. Minho felt his heart beat faster. He knew this evaluation was coming, but he did not know it would be announced so publicly. Around him, aliens of all shapes and sizes leaned forward to watch. The xenobiologist continued. After thorough study, we have determined that humans pose minimal threat to galactic stability. They are small in stature, averaging only 1.7 meters in height. They possess no natural weapons such as claws, fangs, or venom. Their skin is remarkably thin and easily damaged. They have no exoskeleton or protective scales, the crowd murmured. Some aliens laughed. Minho clenched his fist but stayed quiet. Furthermore, the scientist went on, humans tire quickly. Their endurance is poor compared to most spacefaring species. They require frequent rest and consume resources at an inefficient rate. They are emotionally unstable and prone to irrational behavior. Based on all factors, humans receive a Category 7 classification, harmless herbivores. The display changed to show humanity's official rating. A large number 7 appeared, colored in green. Green meant no threat. Green meant weak. Green meant prey. The crowd erupted in chatter. Minho heard aliens making jokes. One large creature with scales told his companion, "Category 7? My children are more dangerous than that." Another alien, tall and thin with too many eyes, laughed. "The soft ones from the blue planet. How did they even reach space?" Minho turned and walked away. His face felt hot with anger and shame. He made his way through the corridors back to his ship. His hands shook as he pressed the button to open the airlock. On Earth, billions of people watched the same broadcast. In the capital city, Hana stood in the Council's embassy building. She was Earth's diplomatic representative, chosen to speak for humanity in galactic matters. She was a calm woman who always chose her words carefully, but today she felt her composure breaking. "This is unacceptable," she said to the Vexarian ambassador. "Your evaluation is incomplete and biased. You judged us only on physical characteristics. You ignored our achievements, our technology, our history." The ambassador looked at her with what might have been pity. "Representative Hana, the evaluation process is standardized across all species. We cannot make exceptions. Your people are what they are. Physical weakness cannot be hidden. We demand a reevaluation," Hana insisted. "Denied. The Council's decision is final. Perhaps you should focus on the positive aspects. Category 7 species receive special protections under galactic law. You will be safe," but Hana knew better. She had studied galactic history. She knew what happened to species marked as weak. They became targets. Across the galaxy, in a military base hidden beneath Earth's largest desert, Officer Quan watched the broadcast with his senior staff. He was a decorated military leader who had spent 20 years preparing Earth's defenses. He had always known this day might come. "They think we are weak," said one of his officers. Quan nodded slowly. "Let them think that. It might be useful." "Sir, shouldn't we protest? Demand they see our capabilities?" "No," Quan said firmly. "Never interrupt your enemy when he is making a mistake. The galaxy sees us as harmless. That means they will not prepare for us. That means they will underestimate us, and that, my friends, is the greatest advantage in warfare." His officers looked uncertain, but they trusted his judgment. Quan had fought in the colony wars, the brief conflicts between Earth's nations before humanity unified. He understood strategy better than most. Over the next few days, news of humanity's classification spread across the galaxy. On trading stations, in alien bars, on military ships, everyone heard about the new Category 7 species. Most reactions were dismissive. Some were mocking, but a few were different. In the Drathion Collective's War Council chambers, military leaders gathered around a star map. The Drathions were a warrior race, strong and proud. They had built their empire through conquest and ritual combat. Their skin was thick like armor, and they stood 3 meters tall. They respected only strength. 3 human colonies in the outer rim, said the Drathion commander, pointing at the map. Minimal defenses. Weak species. Easy targets. The council classified them as harmless, another leader said. If we take their worlds, what can they do? Send diplomats to complain? Laughter filled the chamber. It would send a message to other species, the commander continued. It would show that the Drathion collective remains strong. And these colony worlds have good resources. The humans have built infrastructure that we can use. Should we expect resistance? Asked a younger officer. The commander smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. From a Category 7 species? They will surrender before we even land. It will be glorious. Easy victory, new territory, and a reminder to the galaxy that strength rules. The council agreed unanimously. Within hours, they began preparing their fleet. Back on Minho's cargo ship, the captain sat alone in his quarters. He stared at the official document that had been sent to all human ships. The document outlined new restrictions. Human ships would now be subject to additional inspections at trading stations. Human travelers would need extra permits to visit certain systems. Human merchants would face higher taxes, all because the galaxy thought humans were weak. Minho opened a secure communication channel to Earth. He knew it would take hours for his message to reach home, but he sent it anyway. This is Captain Minho, Cargo Vessel Sunrise. I witnessed the announcement today. The other species are not just dismissing us. They are actively mocking us. Some are already talking about human space as potential expansion territory. I recommend we prepare for trouble. They think we are prey. Prey gets hunted. He sent the message and leaned back in his chair. Outside his window, the stars shone cold and distant. Somewhere out there, other species were making plans that involved Earth and humanity, and none of them realized the mistake they were making. None of them understood that humanity had not survived on a dangerous planet, had not clawed their way to the stars, had not overcome countless wars and disasters by being weak. They had survived by being adaptable, by being clever, by being absolutely ruthless when necessary. The galaxy had called them harmless. Soon, the galaxy would learn the truth.